Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of The Cultured Gamer. On this week's episode, we discuss and recap some of the trailers from the Summer Games Fest as well as the Xbox Showcase, and we discuss what were hits and what were misses. All that and more. Stay tuned. Summer Games Fest was on June 8th. And it looks like this is going to be the pseudo replacement going forward for E3. They kind of have all the developers that would technically be on the show floor for E3. And uh, they kind of, Jeff Keighley kind of stepped in and kind of just took over the space. And you see Xbox down there, you see Ubisoft, Sega, Netflix, Devolver, Disney, EA. EA is even a part of this, and they were one of the first to branch out from E3. Sony, PlayStation's there as well. They were another publisher that ventured out into their own thing. Xbox did as well. So, Ernest, did you have a chance to watch the entire showcase?
No,
Okay.
it was pretty
So,
long, so I didn't
so,
really.
so I have a couple of clips for both the showcases. It's via GameStop or GameSpot, I should say. They compiled a best of, so we're gonna watch a couple of them right now. And let me get that ready. We're gonna start off with the Summer Games Fest. And
We're still here at the scene of this terrible disaster caused by a
Final
massive tornado which
Fantasy,
swept through sectors 0, 1, and 2.
the new remake for 7, Final Fantasy remake, the second chapter in the next game. Yeah, so we'll watch this a little bit and give our thoughts as we continue watching.
Honestly, yeah, I don't have too much to say here. It looks amazing, right? Like the scope looks pretty wow.
Have you played through the Final Fantasy 7 remake?
I haven't played through all of it. No, I'm gonna be starting it pretty soon. I'm kind of glad that I waited because I'm going to be playing Integrate on the PS5, so that will be nice.
I was wondering,
but I mean, this looks just looks really grand,
and you're
I mean, wow.
This is gonna sound crazy, but
yeah. So I've played a good chunk of the first Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Yeah,
and I do like the control setup. It's a little bit more Kingdom Hearts-esque in terms of its control scheme. It's not turn-based, so you can
yeah, I don't like that. That kind of makes it an action RPG rather than an actual RPG.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
That's one thing.
It has more of a Western feel to it for sure in terms of gameplay.
That too, yeah. I mean, it's just this is where we're at, in today's world. Like I gotta look at Dragon Quest to to really give me the goods. But this is a different beast. It's just a different beast. It's not a typical turn-based JRPG. If you want that again, you'll have to go to Persona or Dragon Quest or Shin Megami Tensei or something like that. Square's too big, they need to cater to everyone. So we have to take a beloved series and make it so that everyone can love it now. When it was kids are getting made fun of for playing, you're playing your little turn-based, role-playing game, and now everybody can play it and love it and is all about it. But looks amazing. It's really fun too, even though it's not that.
So they announced that this is going to be on 2 discs.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Is that going to take a lot of hard drive space, though, right?
So here's my curious thought, because we're in the age where a lot of games just use the disc as a protocol to download the actual game from digital networks. Yeah. So if they're if the game is on 2 discs,
You
are
know
they
that I killed
putting
her.
a version of the game that's complete
So,
and
who is
playable
she?
on the game? Or if I pop in disc 1 and say it's disc 1, like chapter 1 of Rebirth, right? See 2 discs. So if I pop in a second disc, is it gonna load the entire game, or just it knows to load that first chapter, and then the second chapter is a second disc, and
Yeah,
it
but why
loads
why do that then? If it needs a
well,
digital
that's what
piece
I'm
of
saying.
content.
We're gonna pause this for a second because I
Yeah,
want to have this discussion. But that's what I mean, though. Like at that point, why even include the second disc if
yeah, clear. Yeah,
it's not something that can be installed and like played without the internet. You know what I mean? Like no internet required. You just download it. The full game is
well,
on 2 discs.
it could
Like
be like Final Fantasy 16, where they're trying to say like no day one patch and all that kind of stuff. Where it seems like if you have the disc, then like a good amount of the content will be on there. Yeah, maybe there will be a patch later, but like
mhm.
it seems like again, I just
The game will ship completed, or
yeah,
what they feel is completed at the time, and then
right. I
obviously
mean,
you'll just have to download the patches.
otherwise they wouldn't press it on 2 discs, right? If there wasn't stuff on the discs, unless what you're saying is true and one disc is the game and then the second disc is like I don't know, like some other stuff, but I don't know if I feel like that's what's going on.
Or if, like, say the first disc is like an install disc and the second disc is like the play disc, but
Right,
then even
yeah.
at that point, why do you even need to do that? Because
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
just gonna down like again, like you just have the one disc, like pull a Call of Duty, right? Where like the disc itself only has like maybe like 400 gigabytes of or I'm sorry, like 40 gigabytes of data or whatever, and then
Yeah.
like the rest is like
You have to download.
downloaded from the cloud, like
Yeah,
from
yeah.
PlayStation Network or Xbox
I
store,
don't know what
Microsoft
Square is
store.
doing here, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
like if they're putting it on 2 discs, you have to be able to play the game downloaded or installed straight from the disc and play it without the need of additional data, to be downloaded for the campaign.
I would presume that you would have to because they're also like being very vocal about the fact that it's on 2 discs. It's not like just information that's known. They're like putting it out there like, yo, this is like on 2 discs. So it's like, okay, if
Right.
you're like making this kind of grand gesture, then it's I mean, of course anything could be the case, but yeah, like you said, I'm feeling like yeah, that it's probably like half the game is on 1 disc and the rest of it's on the other, and anything else that you need to download would be like a smaller ish patch,
Mhm.
and that's that is what I'm thinking.
So this next game is Mortal Kombat 1, and we're gonna just add a little quick parental advisory note. If if our viewers have younger kids or a younger audience watching, this trailer is going to be uncensored, so you may want them to exit the room for a moment because at the end of this trailer they do have a fatality reel, and we are going to play it uncensored. So beware of that, and we're going to
It is
continue watching.
deliciously
So
violent.
this is a gameplay trailer. So everything's gonna be gameplay in real time, PlayStation 5 um, and Series X.
I have had enough of you.
Then go before I put you down.
Fight.
Today, you have proven worthy of joining us. Come, there are other champions I must gather.
What do you want?
Sento. It's my family blade.
Sento's mine.
So what are your thoughts on the art style and design?
It looks very similar to Mortal Kombat 11 in terms of detailing, facial scanning and whatnot. It's very on par with the 11. Um, but it kind of looks like much of the same team is probably even working on it. I like it. It's a little bit of a cleaner look to it. like it looks more modern. I'm noticing some of the backgrounds, like Johnny Cage's loft here. Um,
Lord Liu Kang.
and the
Protector of
faces look
Earth
all
and
good. They look as good as they did in Mortal Kombat 11, which is a good thing. They probably just took that tech and just elevated it and just cleaned it up a bit. It looks great. I mean, it plays. It looks like it plays like Mortal Kombat 11. The only thing I'm concerned with is the cameos. They look like glorified Marvel versus Capcom running attacks,
Oh, you mean like the
and
tagging looks
yeah,
like the
it's
tagging
not a
kind of
tag.
thing?
It's like a buddy attack system. So like in Marvel vs. Capcom, you press the two buttons real quick, and your buddy comes in and
Yeah,
does a quick
yeah,
attack and runs out.
yeah.
It's very much like that, and
I
I
see.
don't know. I think that's just kind of like, yeah. See, Kano just popped out right there and assisted
Yeah,
Raiden.
yeah.
So there he is again. It just seems very distracting to me.
I agree.
Unnecessary.
I agree.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem necessary. I wonder if that's a feature that we could just turn off. You
Yeah,
know,
I
um,
personally,
I think
from
you have
the
enough action in
eyeball
the.
thing.
Yeah, I think that you have enough action in the game without having to worry about your buddy running in, and you know what I
Yeah,
mean. It's just,
too
I
much.
don't know.
Yeah, too much.
It's a bit much.
Kind of distracting. Yeah, too much
Yeah,
going on. Does it
yeah,
look
it's
cool?
a
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. It's maybe a little too much. Maybe not, but
yeah. I don't know
um,
if I necessarily need it in my Mortal Kombat. I wasn't
yeah,
exactly asking for it. It's not a feature.
right.
It's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Mortal Kombat 11 is definitely not broke.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
it's probably one of my favorite iterations in recent history, within the last, 10 or 15 years maybe, minus the core system, core consoles. I mean, 1 through 4. Oh, here we go. Yikes.
So I think the environments and the backgrounds look like just like fantastic, just absolutely amazing. Um, but like the character models and all that kind of stuff, and the design, it looks good. The animation is really, really good. The
Mhm.
combat looks really awesome. But I kind of feel like we're getting away from, and these fatalities are just amazing. Um,
Disgusting, amazing.
just awesome. They just look awesome. But I feel like we're getting away from the digitized kind of look that
Well, I think they tried to bring that back a little bit with because
it
most of the characters are
looks more
facial scans. They're
cartoony
real
though.
people that they're scanning into the game to play these parts. So I think
Is
in
that
that
true though?
aspect,
Is that
that's what
really
we're
what's
kind of.
going on?
I'm sorry.
Is that really what's going on? Do they really do this or
Yeah, so all the actors that we're seeing in the game, those are real people who are being scanned into the texture models of the characters. So like the person who plays Raiden is a real person. The person who plays Kenshi and Katana. I just saw a post with those two today, and they have their own YouTube channel called Gameology, and they got their start covering Mortal Kombat 11, and so now
wow?
they are character scans in Mortal Kombat 11. The girl being Katana, and the male host being Kenshi. So they actually are scanning real characters, kind of like that's kind of like a nod to what they did in the beginning, how they made their characters look ultra hyper realistic, and that's a nod to it now that they have the technology to take the facial scans and actually put it on the CG renders.
Well,
Um,
that's the thing though, is that like they're doing that, but to me, it doesn't have that ultra like digitized look where
sure.
it's like they may be using actors and overlaying textures and stuff
Hmm.
like that over the models, but to me it doesn't look like digitized doesn't look like digitized actors. That digitization kind of, I don't know, it looks kind of more, I mean, I don't want to say like cartoony, but it looks kind of like smooth and kind of soft a little bit, like kind of like lacking on the details a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, it
I
could have
don't know
been an
if it's good or
opportunity to
bad,
kind of
but
like scale it back a little bit and go back to its roots.
yeah,
Like
like I want it to be more
figuratively in the
dark
story and
and
literally in the game design. Like they should have took it back and tried to make like a pseudo Mortal Kombat HD remake, and just try to
yeah,
go
it
back to
still looks
go
great.
back
It
use
looks really
modern technology to make a new Mortal Kombat game the way it used to be. I think I yeah. I
good.
think
I
that
need digitized animation and
yeah.
graphics. Like I need to look like I need the models to look like, wow, it looks like a 3D model of a person. Rather than here, that may be the case, but it doesn't. To me, it doesn't look like that. Like they kind of cleaned it up to where it just kind of looks like animation, like animated characters, rather than like real live actors.
So this is Alan Wake 2, and
You know, there's been some talk, and I have to agree that looks like this looks totally awesome, of course.
mhm.
But why are we not playing as Alan Wake? This is Alan Wake 2,
Well,
so I don't want to play as somebody else. I want to play as Alan Wake.
so from what my
You can just
understanding
call it a different
is,
game.
there's a narrative reason why you
I
don't.
don't care. It's Alan Wake 2. I want to play as Alan Wake.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
want them to
I,
create
to
a
my
legit.
understanding, he is in the game, and you do
Yeah,
eventually get to play as him. It's just
yeah.
it's kind of a mystery at the very beginning as to where he is and why the events are happening. Maybe he's writing another book,
Well, I
and
want to
maybe
be this
these are the
FBI
event.
chick. I
Maybe
want to be
these
Alan Wake.
events are transpiring in within the book, and they're manifesting themselves in reality as well. Like like the first game. Um,
Yeah, but there's no confusion. First game, you're Alan Wake. This is Alan Wake
sure.
2. Why am I not Alan Wake for any reason?
Well, it's probably like a ninja type, write-in type of thing where you kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
you're probably
Seriously.
playing as the girl and she's investigating something at the beginning, and then eventually you find out where Wake is and what he's been up to, and he's kind of you take over from there, and you know who
I
knows?
mean, yeah, either way, it looks amazing. I'm going to be all
Yeah,
over it, no matter what. And again, looks super amazing. Just looks so great.
and
But
this trailer is all in game.
yeah, it looks this is just fantastic. But and yeah, like you're saying, totally true. But I just I kind of again I just like I don't care what the reason is. Like then have her scenes be like I don't know some cutscenes or some video flashback or something, and then we take over as now.
I'm getting Alan Wake on my birthday.
Oh, did you play through the original?
I have it. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah,
I'll
you
finish it.
should.
I'll finish it before then.
Honestly, as long as you're familiar with the gameplay, and probably be all right. But
So, Ernest, what do you think of? Have you seen this trailer yet?
yeah, I think it looks really good. I think it looks like super awesome.
So, does it concern you that the team that's developing this, a good number of the developers worked on Balan Wonderworld or Balan
Well,
Wonderland or whatever it's called?
no, because like that game, it was the way it came out. I mean, they kind of like meant for it to be like that. It just didn't hit. Like
Mhm.
Yuji Naka wanted to make a game for little kids, and they wanted to, make it like accessible, so they didn't like make it very
Sure.
complicated or whatever. And like in that, looking at it from that perspective, like I guess they
What do you
set out
think
to do it
about the
well.
changing of abilities with the acquiring of the Chaos Emeralds?
I usually I don't get too into all that kind of stuff. Like when I'm playing, I just want to kind of like play a Sonic and like run through and have that exhilarating rush. I don't like to slow down too much and determine what skill am I using. And like I'm more of a Sonic 2 versus Sonic CD kind of guy. I like
So, So with that aspect, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Mega Man, and I wonder if that's going to play into the gameplay feature where you need to have certain abilities to proceed and beat certain levels. Like you get one Chaos Emerald, it lets you run up water, right? So
yeah.
like the only way you can proceed this level is if you run up a stream of water, and that's where the exit is. Like I
Yeah, I
wonder if
can
it's going to
see
have levels
that
like that where you cannot definitively
progress
beat the
without
level
them.
unless
Like,
you have that power up. Very
yeah,
much like Mega Man, you know what I mean? Like you can't beat certain bosses unless you have certain abilities.
that's a good point. I can totally see that being the case. I don't know if that's gonna be enough to like ruin it for me or whatever, or for a lot of other people,
So, so
But it looks really good and it looks really fun. And T Lopes is contributing music and he's pretty awesome too. So I'm hyped. My hopes are good. I hope they don't screw it up.
so Capcom is desperately trying to make not Dino Crisis a thing. Exo Primal crossing over at Street Fighter 6. So you can play as Street Fighter characters. in Exo Primal, but this is like kind of like the game that doesn't need to exist, and they're really trying to make it a thing, and they're really pushing it before it comes out, and it's like, stop.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think so. If you're Capcom, you either give us Dino Crisis that we want. You could start with the remake, see how it goes, and then go into like part 4, or a remake or whatever, or you kind of stick with Monster Hunter, and that kind of takes care of all like this kind of stuff.
Day one on Game Pass. So on the Microsoft, or I'm sorry, the game, the Capcom showcase, they spent 10 minutes talking about Xeno Primal, and I was like over it.
Yeah.
This next game right here, The Lost Crown, Prince of Persia. What do you think of this?
Oh, look, I'm gonna be, as I always say, I'm gonna be honest. I'm an old school Prince of Persia person. Like, I mean, I'm talking playing the original one on PC, like as a kid, and then getting excited with the sequel because you're like actually outside and you could like fight and stuff. And then when they did like the Sands of Time, I played all of them, and I've beaten all of them. And I don't like Prince of Persia in 2.5D. I'll just say it. Like, I know everybody's like downvoting it and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying I'm going to downvote it because I don't think that it looks bad at all. I think it looks super fantastic. But when it comes to Prince of Persia, I am like full on into like the current, well, I don't want to say current gen, but the most recent iteration, which is kind of like the wall jumping back and forth and moving around in 3D. I that's what I like. I get the rush from that. This, I don't know, it looks like Celeste or something like that. Like, it's cool, but like, Sands of Time, like,
Yeah.
I played the original Prince of Persia back in the day, but I don't know, after like 20 or 30 minutes, like, it's kind of like it's really hard, and you really have to be devoted to have the patience to like. That's not really the case with any of the like more recent Prince of Persia games. They're just like more fun and more just awesome, and some of them do different things. But the 2.5D looks super awesome, but just not for me.
Yeah, I think that I think it's interesting that they canceled the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, and then in lieu of that, they announced this just to
lower budget,
buy people more time to allow them to fix that game if it ever comes out, if it's salvageable.
Hopefully they don't use this to gauge
interest in that.
Interesting, because then if this doesn't work out, and they're like, okay, see, so there's no market for Prince of Persia, and it's like, well, but like,
and they cancel that project.
You can't do that. You can't like have like Sands of Time and that whole slew of games, and then do this, and when people kind of are maybe like a little bit more like lukewarm towards it, and then be like, okay, we're not going to do it.
They are two drastically different gameplay styles.
So
can't really judge one or the other. This next one is Path of Exile 2. It's kind of like your typical 3/4 perspective,
like
Diablo type S. Why they included it into this, I guess there's an audience for it on PC. It just seems like a Diablo clone to me
as well.
And I haven't even played the latest Diablo. I still have Diablo 3 for Xbox that I haven't touched. I'm not interested in Diablo. To me, I rather just play Baldur's Gate. You know what I mean? So like, that's what all these games remind me of. When Baldur's Gate was on PS2, those were boss.
These are not my thing. These are very Western, games, Western visual design, Western gameplay, mechanics. It's so I can't say.
Yeah, who cares?
Much.
Honkie
I'm a console gamer. I prefer my games of the Japanese kind of, not exclusively great Western games. A lot of
I think with the success of Genshin Impact, you're seeing more games come to Western shores that have this cel shaded aesthetic. Heavy doll-eyed.
Together, they all look kind of like, I hate to say, they all kind of just look the same, sort of. Like, I don't think you've seen and played one, you've kind of seen and played many of them.
Yeah,
unless there's something specific that you're really like about, I mean, then
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very impressive that we're at a space now where consoles can deliver, cell shaded visuals of this fidelity, consistently, and that's just normal graphics. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
super
yeah, that looks
impressive.
great. Yeah,
But
totally.
again, it just follows that Genshin Impact model, and I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of a push for that recently, and it's just kind of
Kind of
like,
oversaturated now.
yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit.
a little
You
bit,
know,
yeah.
my son is playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. He just beat it recently, and it follows the same visual aesthetic, but it works
Yeah,
for that game because it's Dragon Ball. It's not like
right, right. I
trying to
mean,
create
yeah,
something new and push it towards you. It's what you
yeah,
expect that game to look like.
yeah.
Um, and and again, that's a mobile game, so it's like, who cares?
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It just that doesn't even really that doesn't count. I make fun of my students all the time for that stuff too. So this is supposed to be like a Souls-like game. So it's like Souls,
Oh,
Lucy,
Lies of
Victoria,
P,
Pinocchio,
yeah,
Geppetto, and all that stuff, and Liza P.
yeah, it's based
I
on
downloaded the
Pinocchio.
demo. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It looks really good. Like, it
Yeah,
looks really good. But I gotta have to see how that gameplay is gonna work out for me because I am not into Soulsborne. Like, I'm not at all into it.
I like the steampunk vibe. It's very
Yeah,
much like Bioshock Infinite.
yeah, or like even Alice
That's a
Madness
personal favorite of
Returns,
mine. Yeah,
Bioshock Infinite, very good. Yeah, like everything looks impressive to me. Like really impressive about this game, and even like just the personality. Like these environments don't just look technically good. They have a lot of style and a lot of personality, and they seem pretty memorable. Like this game
yeah.
just really looks great, but
Please don't suck.
the gameplay, we got to see how
I mean, look at
that
that. That
feels.
looks amazing.
It looks freaking dope.
Do we know if this is
Everything
using
looks
Unreal Engine 5 or if it's using a proprietary engine?
That's a good question. I don't think it's using Unreal Engine 5. It might, but I feel like if it was, that would be a really big talking point. I don't, but I it just it really looks pretty amazing. Like this
Yeah, it's
it could
pretty
be something
impressive.
special. Could
The
be something
detail
special.
fidelity is pretty high up there. We're starting to see
Yeah,
games
yeah.
take advantage of the current hardware.
Yeah, this is it's pretty impressive.
Let's not make it a habit.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play the demo yet, and I stress yet.
Unreal Engine, so it is Unreal Engine 5.
Is it 5 though, or is it Unreal Engine 4?
I would say if it's Game Pass Series
Yes.
X, Xbox One, so it's 4 then. It's Unreal Engine 4 because if it's on Xbox One, it has to be Unreal Engine 4.
Right. Okay. Really? So no Unreal Engine 5 games we're gonna see on
Interesting.
the. Oh, it's on Xbox One.
Yeah, it just said Xbox
Like
One right
not the
now.
Series S, but the Xbox. Well, okay.
No, it said Series S X and then it said Xbox One and Steam. So it
Okay.
looks like it's going to be a timed, at least a timed exclusive for Xbox. So this one is
Well, but
from
there's a demo there's a demo on PlayStation Network now.
Akira Toriyama. He's the creator of Dragon Ball. He's the visual director of this. And
Yeah.
apparently, this
Speaking
is
of
based
which,
on one of his animes
I
called
want to check out One
Scanland.
Piece Odyssey. It
Yeah,
looks really good. Some people are saying that it's actually really good, so I'm gonna check that demo out. And then it's tough because it's Akira Toriyama and it just looks like phenomenal, but I don't know if I can get into this gameplay.
yeah. It looks like it's kind of a mix between Dragon Quest and a little bit of Western gameplay aesthetics, like the sneaking around and the
It looks like
third person
Dragon Quest, but this
attacking.
gameplay
And,
is anything but.
yeah, Dragon Quest obviously is heavily inspired by Dragon Ball with its visual aesthetic and
Well, it is the same
character
artist.
animation. Yeah, it's the same artist. And this very much looks the same too. That bot earlier that they were showing walking around was very much a Dragon Ball esque design. Warhammer is another game I'm looking forward to. Space
You're
Marine
into
2, this game
Warhammer.
looks awesome. And they're getting ready to push this on Amazon. Amazon has the rights for Warhammer, and Henry Cavill is going to star and produce it.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So Henry Cavill, the guy who plays Superman, right?
Yeah.
Man of Steel, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. he's apparently a big time Warhammer nerd. Like this is a passion project of his. And he, now that Warner Brothers dropped the ball on him being Superman, that just freed him up to work with not Netflix, with Amazon, and Amazon is totally moving forward with producing a film and like a total universe. It's going to be a movie, TV shows, the works. And so like this game right here is the start of that reinvigorated push of Warhammer, and they're going to start adapting this stuff into the show, into the movies, and he's going to star and produce in those projects. And it looks cool. It looks very much like Gears.
Yeah, it looks like,
you know.
Yeah, Warhammer's
if you want to
never
play Gears on PS5, this is probably the closest you'll ever get.
Yeah, it's like, Space Marines, kind of military-ish. So,
yeah. If you like Warhammer and the lore, this is definitely a game you should get.
Yeah, if you like Warhammer or whatever.
And it looks impressive. I thought it looked cool. I like the detail looked interesting, and I'm a little into Warhammer. I'm not like a super nerd or anything. But I'm getting into it slightly, little more by a little bit more.
What is this?
A new age is upon us. Gods have
I think this is Baldur's Gate.
Oh, okay.
A mad dog understands.
I could be wrong though. I think they just said Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, I mean, those of you that like Baldur's Gate.
Jason Isaac right there.
Yeah, I'm sure that this will be great.
Can never be mended. They can only break.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to lead
this Western territory.
Not scorch it.
Look at that. He's crouching. He's gonna take a squat.
Yeah.
Look at these guys. These guys get paid bank to just show up for a day or two and record some random lines. Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I don't know. This is again like kind of Easty Western stuff. Great for them.
It looks cool. I mean, the animations.
Yeah, from a technical perspective, it looks really good.
Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis.
Yeah, this is just a mobile thing.
Yeah, that's so weird that they spend all these resources and this could be like a big hit on PS5. You would think, right? Like if they're recreating.
It's why waste time?
Yeah, why?
Why even?
That looks so cool. That looks like it could just be like a full-fledged game. You know what I mean? Like, why waste the resources?
It looks more like Final Fantasy VII. Yeah.
I don't understand.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is money, I guess, in mobile, but I just.
But is there? Because if you're trying, I don't believe that. Unless this game is going to be free to play and it's going to be microtransactions like crazy, I don't see this game being profitable at all. Because most people don't buy mobile games.
Right. Most of the people who would be into this wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Download a free to play version. Just feel it as they go along.
Well, I feel like if anything was gonna change that direction, it would have been Mario Run or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool, and people liked it, but it didn't do gangbusters where all of a sudden everybody's
right.
And so I feel
people were downloading the free trial, but they weren't paying for the full game.
Yeah, nobody's gonna pay real money.
So this one, Yakuza, or Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name.
I think they need to slow down. I think we're getting a little bit oversaturated with Yakuza games. One, and then B, this is they want to. I think they're saying that they want to charge $50 for it, but it's only going to be digital. So
from what I've heard, there is a physical copy that's. I was updated today, and there is apparently going to be a physical copy, but it's going to be limited press. It's not a limited runs promotion.
But I was going to say, well, that doesn't really count as physical.
It's going to be. It is going to be a. It's going to have a limited pressing. But it is going to be. They are starting to slowly start that push for digital only. You see it with Alan Wake.
Yeah,
and this looks like it might be that too.
And then there was something else too that I heard. I
Mhm.
forget what it was. Some
But
other free
I
game.
agree with you with having the need to slow down in this universe because I
Yeah.
feel like they're taking advantage of the Western popularity a little too strongly. I think that it's a niche audience, and the audience is getting bigger, and now that the
Oh,
games are on Game Pass, it's more accessible, the initial trilogy. But we'll pause this for a second.
yeah.
But you know, you have the core games and you release them. That's a lot of games, right?
It's a lot of
And
games.
then you released the seventh one, which was Like a Dragon, and
Mhm.
that's the name of the game. So uh, from there on out, that's the game that introduces the rebranding, right? So you have Yakuza 7, which is technically Like a Dragon 7. Then you have uh, you know um, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the trailer we saw right now. You have
Issue.
you have Judgment,
Yeah.
right?
So there's two Judgment games.
There's two
There's
judge
all the
so
Yakuza 1 through 7
right.
plus
So
Zero
Judgment
plus Kiwami 1
so
and 2.
Judgment just so Lost Judgment just came out within the last year.
Yeah. A couple
So you
years.
have Lost Judgment, you have Like a Dragon 7, you have Like a Dragon Gaiden, so that's 3
Mhm.
right there. Then you have the Samurai one, Ishin,
Ishin,
right?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, Ishin is out, so that's 4. And
And then this
then
one was announced.
during the Xbox conference, you're gonna see what may technically be 8. Um, there's a trailer for Like a
Yeah,
Dragon
because it's
Infinite
coming. Yeah.
Wealth, and
Yeah.
that Infinite Wealth continues the story that was set in place in 7 with the Frog dude.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the next story of his story. So
Mm.
technically, it's 8 at
Yeah.
this point.
That's
So
like that's 8. Yeah. And
yeah,
this is like that's why they're calling it Gaiden. It's like another side
well,
story spinoff kind of
yeah, this is going to be the continuation to the
to
core
6.
series, but it's a
Right.
spinoff.
Yeah, but it's still like yeah. It's getting kind of like
Convoluted.
yeah, it's pretty kind of ridiculous. I mean, I love Yakuza. Like I've been playing Yakuza since PS2. But
Hmm.
like you just chill out for a second. Hold up. Games are not short either.
Everyone that can fight.
Immortals of Venum. This is first person.
And we're still
Medieval kind of
Yeah, medieval kind of like magics from EA Originals. We talked about them last time. Um, yeah, it kind of seems a little bit of BioShock in terms of like your spells and casting abilities in first person, but then it looks like they're trying to do a little bit of like a Forspoken.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the vibes
totally.
I get from
Like an
this.
FPS Forspoken.
Yeah, an FPS Forspoken. You know,
Um,
hyper attention to the detailing of the face and all that stuff, and the
yeah,
visuals
yeah,
around, and the fidelity of the texture visually, but like not so much depth in terms of story. And it's pretty
right.
basic. You know what I mean? Like this looks all impressive
It
from a
looks really
technical
great,
standpoint.
but I just don't care. Like I just can't
Yeah,
find anything like really
it's
interesting.
not like a genre or a character or a story that it pre-exists that I care about. So
Yeah,
it's
and it looks
already
really great, but
yeah, it's already facing an uphill battle in the fact that it's an original IP. So
yeah,
like,
yeah. Which is
you know,
good, which is what we need. We need original IP.
sure.
And I'm not saying that in any way it looks bad. Maybe it's just age or something, but I don't know. I just like the from what I see of like the characters and all that, it just does not look interesting.
Mhm.
But
At
the
least not for
graphics, are great.
70, not interesting enough to pay $70. You know
Even
what I
for my
mean?
time, there's so many games. There's so many games in my
Sure.
backlog that look really that I'm like looking forward to playing, and it's like I could get this because it doesn't look like a bad game at all,
Mhm.
and the graphics look really good. But if it was sitting on my shelf, I can't say like that. I would be thinking, I can't wait to get to this game. Even if
No,
somebody's like, dude,
yeah.
I'll give it to you for free. I'm like, awesome. Like it looks like graphics are insane. Looks like it could be like a lot of fun, but I just on a personal level, I don't know. I'm not like really like
Yeah, it's not a game that I would probably pick. Like again, I wouldn't pay $70 for it on day one. But if it was like available on Game Pass, I'd probably check it out. You know what I
you
mean?
play it for
Like,
like an hour or two and just kind of like, see what it's
Yeah,
all
if
about,
it
and
see
like
if it
maybe
see
it,
where see if
you know,
my interest is still in the game. You know what I mean? I
I mean,
mean,
this whip
obvious.
mechanic looks cool.
There's a level of investment that is lost when you spend that much money on a game. You kind of are like, well, now that I spent $70 on the game, I kind of
You're what's called
freaking
a
have to play
triad.
it now. You know what I mean?
The
Yeah,
Like,
beast
yeah.
god has
there's a
revealed
level of
to you
commitment that is not there when you
the
have a Game Pass
manifest
game. Where you
Right,
just kind of
right, absolutely,
dip in
absolutely,
and play for a minute and kind of just like not really
and
like
not feel like,
put
yeah,
any harder effort into it like you would if
yeah,
you spent the
totally,
game the $70 new. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You spend that, you buy that $70 game, you're gonna put every effort into enjoying that game.
Yeah, like,
You know.
like Fallen Order or any of like the new Star Wars.
So
Uh,
I think that this is the last Games Fest trailer, which is Fortnite. So
okay,
it's
so
not
yeah, we
so
can
it's
just
not a big loss. No biggie here. It's not
who cares? It's
yeah.
Fortnite.
We don't need to really sit and watch.
If
Uh,
you like love Fortnite, hey, sorry, but like
so
I'm
the
not
other event
15. Like, who
that
cares?
happened the other event that happened this past weekend was the Xbox
Right.
conference, the showcase for uh, Xbox Game Studios. Following that showcase was a Starfield Direct where they solely dedicated, I would say, like a good 30 minutes plus to talking about Starfield and what the game had to offer. Before we hop into the trailers, we're gonna review some of the games that they showed during the showcase, and then we'll watch some of the trailers. So this was a list of all the games they announced during the showcase. They announced Starfield, Forza Motorsport, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Fable. They announced the new Fable, Avowed, Elder Scrolls Online, Necrom, Towerborn, a Clockwork Revolution, which is a personal favorite of mine from the show. Path of the Goddess is another one from Capcom. Following that, Oni, those Oni ghost vibes with samurai lore. Metaphor looks good. South of Midnight looks slightly intriguing, even though they didn't show a gameplay video. Star Wars Outlaw was a big reveal. The DLC for Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty, starring Idris Elba. Keanu Reeves is also returning for that as well. Payday 3 was announced. They showed a gameplay trailer for that, as well as 33 Immortals. It's a 33 player co op game, kind of in the vein of Diablo, kind of an RTS style over three-fourths over cam, bird's eye perspective. Flight Simulator 2024 was announced. It's going to have some corresponding DLC with Dune. You get to fly those little Firefly helicopters
Yeah.
that were in the movie. So you get to fly in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sea of Thieves is getting Monkey Island DLC. There's again DLC coming out for Fallout 76. Skylines 2 Cities was announced as well. So if you like your SimCity esque games, Skylines 2 will fill that void. A new Persona 3 was announced, as well as Persona 5
Super
PST.
hyped for
Uh,
those two. Persona
yeah,
5 6.
and I think the montage that we're about to watch has a little bit of gameplay footage that we might see. Like we mentioned earlier, like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Creatively, this probably is number 8, and they just turn the 8 sideways, and it makes the infinite side. So kind of caught that. It was kind of made me chuckle when I saw it. And they demonstrated Overwatch 2 coming to Xbox. Still Wakes the Deep looks good. Dungeons of this is so small. Hinterberg and Jasant. So we're gonna play some of those trailers in a moment. We're gonna remove this last clip here. Oh, and then we also, while I load that, we also have a list of the games that were announced that are coming day one on Game Pass. So of all the games that they announced, quite a handful are going to be day one Game Pass. Starfield, Forza, Hellblade 2, Fable, Avowed, Clockwork Revolution, Path of the Goddess, South of Midnight, Towerborn, Payday, 33 Immortals, Flight Simulator, Skylines 2, Persona 3, Reload, Persona 5 Tactica, Still Wakes the Deep, Dungeons of Hinterberg, and Jasant will all be day one on Game Pass as well. Um, so before we enter into the Xbox section, do you have any thoughts about the Summer Game Fest, Ernest?
It looks like they have a good mix of stuff. It's kind of, again, this is Xbox, so it's kind of it feels kind of Western,
Mm-hmm.
kind of aligned, more like Western gameplay styles that people like. But again, there's some stuff even for me.
Yeah.
The problem is that most of the stuff is multi-platform. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Like a lot of the heavy hitters are multi-plat.
Mhm. So I have a small gripe, and I'll try to keep it short because we still got to cover the Xbox stuff. My gripe is that all the publishers just kind of abandoned E3. You know, E3's kind of been a staple to the gaming industry and has helped carry the industry and give it publicity over the years. And so, right when E3 is kind of having its hard time adapting to a modern audience, everybody decides to jump ship and go to Jeff Keighley's event. I've made it pretty vocal about having one guy run the show. It kind of it prevents other publishers from attending, basically because of uh, you know um, personal concerns. Like Konami will never be at the Summer Game Fest
Right.
showing
That's
off
the one thing I was
Castlevania
trying to
or
say.
anything
Konami.
because Jeff's been so vocal about the way Konami treated Hideo Kojima, which wasn't very fair, but there's that hint of professionalism that is just not there because of his relationship with Hideo. And it's like, that's an opportunity to display those games, and they're more than likely never going to be a part of his function because of his relationship and how vocal he's been against that company. So those opportunities are lost, and if you're not in his good side, you're not getting that coverage. And the fact that if this is supposed to be the E3 replacement, a lot of the publishers are kind of like segregated into their own areas. It's not like they have a play space where they have demos set up for general press that go to a pseudo show floor, but you see Mortal Kombat has its own building, not on the same location where the show floor is supposed to be. And it's a mess. It's just should go back to E3, like you said, scale it back. People, normies and regular attendees, standard consumers should not be allowed to go to this show. They should tighten up restrictions on press, and they've said that's what this is doing. But there's a Mortal Kombat YouTuber that goes by the name of Uncaged, and I'm not hating on Uncaged, but he's a regular dude with a very popular YouTube channel, and he was invited to go to these type of things. So what's the consideration for press, and where does the credential for legitimacy lie in an event like the Summer Games Fest, where you have one guy playing favorites more or less, and he's kind of just handpicking and choosing? Like, where's the protocol? Are we deciding who gets to go in by committee and what's being represented on the show floor? Does Konami not get an invite to this thing because just it's not just Konami, it's other companies too, but they're the best example to set forth right now because of the personal relationship and the vendetta that one person could possibly have on the show. So I'm not a fan of it. I don't like this whole digital showcase nonsense. It's kind of boring to me. It kind of kills the excitement of not
Yeah.
being able to play the game. So it's one thing to announce that you have a game that's coming out, but it's another thing to then know that you're going to visit a show floor or somewhere they're playing the game, and people that you can rely on to report on these games, people like us, don't get an invite. Or I'm not hating that I don't get an invite. Normal people shouldn't be able to go, but I'm saying, like, where's what level of credential are we establishing here that is press and a normal YouTuber with a moderate following? You know what I mean?
That's
So
kind of what it's coming down to now. Is that like if you have a YouTube channel with, like you said, like a moderate following, then you may or may not get these invites. And then who decides that? Who decides, what a
yeah, what's the
moderate
threshold? What's the
is?
determine my channel qualifies? You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right. Yeah,
w-
it's
yeah,
yeah,
what's the measuring stick? You know what I mean?
it's all just it's just like all kinds of messed up right now.
So we're gonna jump into Xbox real quick. We're gonna watch a best of montage. Again, this is via GameSpot, so thank you to them for creating this. And we're gonna load this up now.
Humanity has always hunted for knowledge in the unknown. The wonder is,
So Starfield had
nothing
an
feels
entire
stars is
showcase
so vast
after the general Xbox
that we have measured
showcase.
it.
They didn't waste any time showing Starfield during the standard showcase. They saved it all for the very end, and they spent a good like 20 to 30 minutes talking about this game. It felt like 30 plus minutes. They went into everything, all the customization. It looks like a fantastic game. I know it's getting a lot of flack right now because they announced that it's going to run at a locked 30.
We're all here
Um,
because we're
Yeah.
committed to the
What do you think
Yeah.
about that,
question of
Ernest?
Yeah, I'll be honest, that's a really complicated matter because everybody's like, just give us the 1080 60 option, but they're saying it's not the resolution
Mhm.
that's forcing this 30 fps lock. It's the graphics themselves,
your
and it's all the stuff that they're doing visually. And I do understand that. However, I don't know. I just feel like, look, if you can get this game at a lock 30 on the Series S at like 1440p, you're telling me that at 1080, a Series X can't get it at 60? I also understand that, yes, that can still be possible, but I don't know. I just find it weird, but at the same time, I understand that this is really being pushed as like a AAA, like one of the games of this generation potentially. And so with what they're trying to do, they're really trying to push, like, I don't know, they're doing something with the tech that's like, look, it's just like we'd have to make way too many compromises even at 1080p to
Mhm.
get it at 60. There'd just be too many compromises to like the spirit of what the actual game is. Like if we like remove this and that to get at 60, then it's not really like what we're our representation of Starfield. That's kind of how I'm thinking the situation is.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this: would you want to play this game at a variable refresh rate?
I'll be honest, if you can't hit not a locked 60, but if it's like 60 with some dips here and there, fine. But if it's like you said, like 60 but pretty variable, I'm sorry, like I'm a 60 FPS guy, but if it's gonna be like that variable, no, lock it down to 30. And we'll just accept it. It is what it is. There are 30 FPS games this generation. I remember the Medium was one of the early ones where it looks really fantastic. It
Mhm.
is 30 frames per second, but it does look really great. And then like the Quarry was another one, which is kind of weird because all of the other supermassive games, part of the Dark Pictures anthology, those all ran at 60, but for some reason the Quarry is locked at 30. I mean, it does look really, really great, but I'll tell you that frame rate lock, it is not going to stop me from playing that game. I'll
Mhm.
always wish that it was at 60, and maybe one day we'll get like some kind of a patch, or I don't know if they're going to be doing a PS5 Pro this generation. Microsoft is not keen on wanting to do that, so maybe on the PlayStation 6 if it's backwards compatible. But I don't know. It's unrealistic to say that like every game this gen on the PS5, the technology is so powerful now that we're not doing 30 FPS. Devs will always just push the graphics stronger and be like, you know what? Oh well, we're gonna go with 30 frames per second, but we're gonna like really deliver on the graphics
Mhm.
instead of saying no. Let's just every game has to be 60 FPS, so let's just tone down the graphics and that's it. But you get your 60. I that's not gonna happen. Devs are just gonna be like, no, this is a 30 FPS game, and we're just gonna push these crazy graphics because it's a Series X or it's a PS5. I think that's gonna be like more realistic. I think it's a pipe to think that no, because the PS5 is so powerful, now we're the default standard now is 60 frames per second. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. So people really shouldn't hound too hard on this game. It's not going to stop it being 30 FPS is not going to be the factor that stops this game from like really being like wow, like groundbreaking or like truly amazing.
No, yeah, I agree. I think that I'd rather have it locked 30 than flipping around between 40 and
Yeah.
50.
I mean, it
um,
affects gameplay, it's just it screws everything up. It's not uniform or
yeah,
consistent.
yeah.
Feels lazy and sloppy and unprofessional.
I'd rather just have it at a locked at 30. If they do release a pro model later, and there's that extra strength, they can always just unlock it later. If they, I would imagine they could.
Oh, they'd have to patch that in because it's not going to be an
Yeah, they would have to pay. Yeah,
unlocked.
right, correct. They would have to patch it in. But I mean, if that ability is there later to allow it, who cares?
As long as it unlock the animation to 30 as well.
Yeah,
Which I don't think they're going to do because it's going to be on PC. So
I don't think it's that big of a game breaker at 30. It just depends that if we find that it can't maintain that 30, and when it gets intense at its most intense,
yeah,
and we start seeing it dipping to 25 or lower, that's when it starts to become unacceptable. But if they
that
can
is
keep it
unacceptable.
and guarantee it that at its most intense, it stays at that locked 29.75 30, and it doesn't
Yeah,
dip below 28, and you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
tell that it's
Mhm.
dipping, then, I think it's going to be an
Then
enjoyable experience. I don't think people need to make a big deal out of it. But,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, people are expecting these $500 boxes to,
If anything, they should have variable resolution where, like, rather
Mhm.
than having those dropped frames, maybe the resolution drops a little bit. I would rather see that than anything to interrupt a locked 30.
Totally.
I feel like devs need to take more advantage of like variable resolution.
So this next game is Fable. This is going to be the Fable reboot.
So they're rebooting it. It's not like a Fable 4 or whatever. It's just
No, it's a
Fable
reboot. It's
now.
called Fable, and it's
I mean, that's cool.
more
It's
of
been
a
long enough.
modern-esque setting to it. Well, I don't.
Modern? Wait, what?
Yeah, so
Really?
just watch the trailer.
Roughing up bandits because they like to rough up bandits.
It looks medieval,
Yeah, and then
but it doesn't. No,
yeah,
On a day-to-day basis, I'd say the true hero is me, someone who's breaking new ground with fruit, with veg, on the agricultural side of things. Just look at them. Not wafting around mythical creatures. And that's what they are. Wafters. Yeah, well done. You see, I'm not here to
like this is great and all. Need to see some gameplay footage though.
yeah. I mean, this is all using real-time visual graphics from the game, but like it doesn't really show any gameplay. There's a portion in a moment that you'll see that.
One moment.
I mean, it's like, does the CG look great? Of course it does. All CG these days looks great.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's funny how ugly she is. I'll tell you that.
I hope that's not based on a real character model.
Well, for real. But I mean, like traditionally, you could like choose your model. You could make them look like different ways.
You can customize your character.
I mean, I'm down. I like Fable. Oh, I liked Fable 3 a lot. I didn't really like the first two that much, which is the ones that everybody does like. I'm not going to buy a Series X for it.
3.
What's that?
I remember playing Fable 2 more than Fable 3.
Yeah, most people liked 1 and 2 and didn't really care that much for 3. And Again, always got to be different. I was like the opposite.
So this one is Hellblade 2,
Yeah. This is
and this
who's
is
going on with
actual.
this game though?
So this is apparently this right here is apparently in game.
This is in engine.
Yeah,
Ninja Theory. Because I mean, like,
they've been working on this game for a good six
yeah,
years,
for like a long time.
probably
And
maybe close to a decade at this point.
for real, it's been like quite some time. Now that they've been working on it, that they've announced it, that was like right when the Series X was not even out yet.
Yeah, I think they announced that they were working on this game shortly after the first one came out, and I remember
Yeah.
the first one was a PS4 exclusive, and then it came out on Xbox, and then Xbox bought the company.
Yeah. Which is crazy because like Ninja Theory was, I mean, they they they've primarily been multi-platform, but they didn't start that way. Like when they
Hmm.
did um what was that first game on the PS3? Hellblade?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, Heavenly Sword.
No, Heavenly Sword. Yeah, and that ended up remaining a PS3 exclusive, and it really took advantage of the PS3 specific architecture as well.
Yeah, and then once that studio finished Heavenly Sword, they started
They
work
started
on
doing
Hellblade
multi.
immediately. That game took
In
forever.
fact, leading with the Xbox, like it was really great game.
Mhm.
What do you want me to do?
Their other game, I forget the name of it. It was really something. It was really great.
So, did you play the first game, Ernest?
I haven't. I played just a very little bit of it, just enough to see that it's really cool.
Hmm.
What about you?
I have it in the backlog, but I haven't really sat down and played it yet. I played a little bit for
Yeah,
PS4.
yeah,
I know it has permadeath in it, so I wasn't a big
yeah,
fan of proceeding further because of
yeah,
that aspect.
yeah.
But I've heard that it's an amazing game.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard that it's very well received. It's
yeah,
not super long, you know.
and it's
Uh,
on Game Pass, so you can always download it. I can always download it again.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
I have it. I just haven't really sat down and
yeah, it's not a long game from what I've heard. It's
right.
not
Yeah,
super difficult.
yeah.
It's just you just gotta
I just
play.
gotta, yeah. I got a
You just
lot of
gotta
games.
find the time to play through it.
Yeah,
It's very much a game about mental health, apparently.
right. Which is cool.
So I don't know if I want to dwell that deep into my own mental health issues.
I also agree. Kind of like,
You know,
how deep are we
I've
going with this?
I have a
Like,
hard time just getting through the day sometimes. Like I don't
yeah,
know. I don't need if I need additional anxieties from
yeah.
you know.
Well, that's why I
But
have a hard time with with like I don't like doing horror in VR.
yeah,
It's just like a little too much for me. Like I can't like I don't know. It's like I
no, I
just
get it.
I'm too chill. I can't. I'm not down. But I do like the developer. Their games are not specifically the most. Uh,
Metaphor from Atlas Studio Zero. But yeah, the world we lived in today was their utopia. Okay.
okay.
Atlas is really good at doing that whole anime cell shaded like
Unfortunately,
look.
that's like their thing. That's it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to say this, but it's almost like their games. They have a very universally similar kind of look, which
Hmm.
doesn't make them stand out apart as much as I would maybe like.
It
Like you
definitely
can
has a
tell
specific
Persona
niche.
influences here. I mean, well, it is from the creators, so I don't know. I just feel like just save your energy, save your breath, take a break, relax, and then like put all your energy, your creativity into like the next Persona game or something big, not like a
Hmm.
smaller side game like this.
But this is a pretty big get for Xbox, especially in the Japan market, because you know
Is this a exclusive or is this a timed exclusive or what? Or is this just multi-platform?
so here's the thing. From my understanding, Microsoft has paid these studios participating in their showcase to not confirm certain games are exclusive or not until like
Mhm.
a 48-hour window apparently. So after tomorrow's show extended showcase, Xbox is having the extended showcase. And so they're going to talk about the same games, which is more in depth, probably give like longer gameplay demos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And probably after that event, though, some of these companies will announce that some of these games are third party. Because if you remember, when PlayStation had their showcase, Xbox came out right away and was like, yeah, 12 of these games are going to be day one on Xbox, the
Mhm.
same day that they're on PlayStation, you
Yeah.
know? But PlayStation wasn't able to do that because apparently Microsoft had them sign NDAs that prohibit them from announcing their competitor hardware's versions for a certain point of time, which, I think is kind of funny.
Yeah, makes sense. But I'll be honest, I feel like most of these will be multi-platform.
Mhm.
I mean, with the sales, I again, I
Oh,
don't like
sure,
the
definitely.
offensive, but with how the PlayStation is outselling the Xbox, I feel like maybe not everything, but most things will be multi-platform
Mhm.
unless they're a Microsoft,
Sure.
internal team or a developer that they own. If you're not owned by Microsoft and the game is coming out on Series X, you can like probably bet your bottom dollar it's going to also come out on PS5.
So this is this new Star Wars game that they announced, Outlaws. Um, it's very much kind of like kind of like a smuggler's run type game. Not like
Yeah,
necessarily smuggler's run where
it's
you're
not
smuggling
Jedi's, there's
stuff,
no
but like
lightsabers,
you
so
play as like the villains almost, like the seedier characters and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um,
it's like the
it,
dirty.
it kind of reminds me of that Star Wars game they were developing back in the day, that
Yeah,
1515,
yeah,
but it's a different
exactly.
studio.
It
It's not the
feels
same studio. It's not like they picked up the pieces and continued
right.
that
Yeah,
development. This is like
yeah.
something totally
It
different.
still does. Yeah, it still does
But it
remind
still
me of
gives
that.
those vibes,
Thing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think about it, though? I
You
mean,
know, this is really cool. I'm hoping tomorrow that they show some actual gameplay because this is just a
mhm.
cinematic trailer.
Yeah.
And they had a little bit more to talk about during the Ubisoft forward. But again, much like the Capcom um, showcase that they had earlier, the Ubisoft showcase kind of sucked too. And it's just not being accountable for having a good show presence has made a lot of these developers kind of lazy in their presentation. Like Sony kind of half-assed it this year with their presentation. It was a big showcase, their first in like the last 2 years, right?
Oh,
And
Sony,
they
yeah, did not
and they
show
kind of
up.
rested on their laurels a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of just like, oh yeah, we're PlayStation. We don't really need to bring out the big guns
Yeah,
that we should have. Like
which
Wolverine
is
should have been displayed.
well, you know
Um,
what though? Maybe that may be a good thing because it's always good to have something in the tank, and right now they don't need to show their
sure,
hands.
sure. Not completely, but it's that era, it's that season. You got to show your investors. That's why E3 was strategically, planted
Yeah, I'm
where it
super hyped
was
for this
because it was the
personal
start of the
tribute, like
fiscal
by the way.
year, and yeah, all the investors and whatnot could see what was coming. Um, you know, uh, again, I think that a certain amount of prestige and publicity is lost doing shows like this. Like, yeah, anybody can just watch the digital showcase online, streaming or whatever. If they were to do a public, like seminar like they used to do, and they just have the actual conferences where they fill up a room, they sit and talk and show all the games like they used to. Um, there's a certain level of coverage that happens during those events, and level of hype and excitement and whatnot.
Right? Yeah, people
And I
talk
feel,
and excitement builds.
yeah, and I
You
feel it's
know,
missing. Like
totally.
I feel like having a strong public press show, not public, but a press showcase that they can
Yeah.
hype up would benefit a game like Monkey Island Sea of Thieves, because then this just becomes a throwaway DLC for a game that's been out for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, um, and that no one can care about. But if you promote it properly, this could become a big deal, and this could get people playing this game that haven't touched the game in 7 years, or have been out of the loop, or you know what I mean. Like, honestly, this trailer for me personally made me want to play Sea of Thieves. Like, because I'm familiar with Monkey Island and I played those games and I have a certain history of playing those games. So the fact that they're integrating their IP that they own now into some of their games like this, like they own Double Fine, so Monkey Island is a property that they own. Like that's just great brand synergy. They own those two IPs. Why not mesh them together? You know what I mean? Like if this was promoted properly and you had to like on a stage and you really demonstrated this game, I would be more excited for this. You know what I mean? Like I would actually want to play this, not just
Yeah,
not
there was
care.
something about E3 where even like a game that I normally wouldn't be interested in or just whatever, I don't know, for some reason something about seeing it like at E3 and seeing other people get really excited would make me feel like, hey, maybe I'm missing something. Like I'm kind of getting excited about this game now too, like, you know.
Or if it's the game that no one thought that they'd be talking about and it's on the show floor and someone's like, hey dude, you gotta play
Yeah.
you gotta
Yo,
play a
did you see?
drift.
Did
It's
you go by
awesome.
this
Hey, you
person?
gotta check out Journey. It's awesome. And it's
Yeah,
like getting no coverage, but then it slowly starts to build up this cred and like all the press who were there that, you know, normally wouldn't have thought twice about this game. So word gets around over the course of the 3 days that this game is there and it's fun and you should play it. And then you start to see the reviews. Oh yeah, this game. And then a game that, you know, typically would never get any sort of notoriety or anything in the press becomes a best of show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that publicity helps. What is the difference between the game not selling and nobody paying
Just
attention
flying
to
under the
it,
radar, yeah.
and
Nobody
flying
even
under the radar, and
looking
being,
for it.
you know, one of those runaway success overnight successes. You know,
Yeah.
E3 provides that for some of those lower tiers to be on the same level of marketing and promotion as, you know, Microsoft Flight Simulator or the Dune DLC add-on. You know, like it allows them to be on that same level playing field, and that's lost without E3. And you do all these digital showcases. Like this all looks cool. This looks really amazing, but it probably would have been even more amazing if I could see it, touch it, play it. You know what I mean? Like even if they just have like, because I know last year Jeff was doing his summer game fest and they, you know, had in sync with Xbox where you can kind of download some demos and play. That's a good step in the right direction. If they're going to do digital showcases, there should be a interactive element as opposed to just watching a bunch of trailers. Like there has to be an interactive element that everybody can be a part of, and then there has to be an element that the press is invited to, so they can actually do work and like write and like, you know.
Yeah.
So this is Payday 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like
stuff.
if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto 5, they have online heists mode.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much what that is. You just rob banks and like locations and stuff like that. But it's then in third person, obviously, you know. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks really it's kind of like playing Heat.
Yeah,
Heat?
like have I seen Heat?
Yeah, it's like playing a playable. It's like playing Heat or Dead Presidents.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I mean, yeah, it's yeah, it looks good. Not my thing, but you know.
Sure. I mean, it's definitely one of those games where it's gonna be like it's multiplayer based, and you kind of have to have your team all form. Like, you know, you play with your regulars. It's not like you have a strong single player campaign. You know.
Yeah, you play and you.
They may have one, but it's not gonna be like Metal Gear Solid 3's level.
You gotta play as a coordinated like team.
Mm-hmm. Day one on Game Pass. Fallout 76 DLC.
I don't know. I'm surprised that Fallout 76 is still gone.
You know, I think you spend enough money in that game, and some studios don't allow a game to become a failure because it tarnishes the IP. So, you know, this game really didn't kick off like it should have, and it wasn't really as successful as its contemporaries prior. But I
guess it's a good thing that they're still supporting it for those people who like did buy it. It's like, but then I get pissed off because there are other games that are like, you know, didn't have all these issues that don't get all their DLC developed and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, and again, it's just like I said before. Like it's kind of like this. The brand for the company is so big that they can't allow it to fail, so they don't let it fail. They'll just invest more money into it to make it look like that it's a success. You know
Yeah,
what
but
I
it's like
mean?
Gabe,
Until they
I
have the next
know.
version ready, and then they put all their chips into that next version. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, I never got behind Fallout 76. It was never a game that really interested me. Um, I really didn't even care for Fallout 3. It's not a genre that I
No,
it's not a brand or title that I particularly care about.
I really like Fallout 3, and I especially like New
Good,
Vegas.
okay.
But the online component and everything I heard about it was just totally not for me.
hmm
Um, so whatever. Like, I'll wait for a real Fallout game.
So every time they show these Forza games, they get more and more realistic looking, man.
Yeah,
It's pretty impressive. Like,
it's something else for sure. It's something else. In-game footage too, quote unquote. I mean,
Let's tweak the car's performance for the next one.
more like tweaking this video performance so you can sell a
yeah,
couple more
I can
copies.
believe it. It's just like I don't know. I mean, a lot of people obviously love these Forza games. I just I don't. I want Ridge Racer, dude. Like I like
Yeah.
these games are great. Like whenever I play them, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like sit down and like get into the racing mode and like be patient and like when I get to turns, instead of trying to power slide through them, I'm going to slow down and then speed up at the right time and come into the corners at the right angles. But then I'm just like, you know what? Like, I don't know if I feel like this is super fun to do. I think I'd rather just go play Ridge Racer,
Yeah, I like my games to have a
Wipeout,
little bit more of an arcade element to them.
Yeah,
I'm not into
can't
the
do
Super
it.
Sims. This looks amazing. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, but like,
it's so good.
like you said, Ridge Racer is more my cup of tea. I like to just kind of jump in. Elder Scrolls, it's cool. It's more or less the same. I'm just gonna kind of skip over this because, it's Elder Scrolls. Who cares?
This is the online one or what?
Yeah, and if you
Because
like
I'm
Elder
like,
Scrolls, that's cool. You should watch the trailer on your own.
I
But
like Elder Scrolls. I don't love it, and I
Elder
definitely
Scrolls Online, though, have you ever played Elder
no.
Scrolls
See,
Online?
I'm
Yeah,
not into
see,
the online though.
like I know it's got a big audience, but like this is not a particularly a title that I care about, and I know you don't play it.
No, it's been out for a while. I mean, it's kind of like Final Fantasy 4. If I'm gonna play one of those games, it's gonna be Final Fantasy 14, and I'm not
Mhm.
playing that, and I'm not playing any of these games. So
Have you downloaded the Final Fantasy 16 demo yet?
I have,
Nice. I haven't played it yet either.
yeah, I haven't played it either.
I'll probably play it sometime tomorrow. if my
Yeah,
kids let
for
me.
sure. I'm hoping to play. I got a lot of demos to check out. I want to check out that tomorrow. I want to check out Liza P tomorrow. And I do want to check out One Piece Odyssey. I like Akira Toriyama,
Mhm.
and a lot of people are saying it's really good. I know it came out like a little while back, but there's a demo. I kind of want to see what I think.
Yeah, One Piece Odyssey is Shonen Jump's pretty good. Yeah, I think you'll like it. Necrocom.
I kind of feel
Necrom.
weird jumping into a pre-existing anime series like that without being into it or knowing its history. But everybody says it doesn't matter. It's really good. We'll see.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't.
Elder Scrolls.
I can't. I
Well,
can't. I can't care about these Elder Scroll games enough. Like I'm
even if
not.
it's a pretty old game, so I mean,
Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2's been out for a while.
Yeah, but now it's coming to consoles. I think that it was on PC first.
Wait, Overwatch 2 is not already on consoles?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's on PC first.
I don't know. I know a lot of people that play it though.
Sure, but I don't think it's on console though. I don't think it's on console.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though. I could look it up in the store on PlayStation. If it's on PlayStation, it's definitely on Xbox.
Yeah.
But
I don't play it either way, but I will say it does look really cool, and people who play it like say that it is really, really great.
Yeah, I like playing the first one. I played the first one a little bit. It is one of those multiplayer games, as a service.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
thing. Because of that, as cool as it looks, can't really get into it. But
and I know there's a lot of flack for this game right now because I know that they were planning some a story campaign for this game. Hence why the jump from 1 to 2, because part 2 was going to have all these elements that made it a grander game, all the multiplayer modes that everybody loves from the first game, and then they're going to add like story campaigns. And I think this trailer makes mention of it too. It says story missions. But they announced earlier that they was going to have story campaigns, and then they announced that they're going to take it out, and everybody got real pissy about it because it's like, well, you made everybody update from 1 to 2 with the promise that 2 was going to have story campaigns, and now you're telling us that they're not going to have story campaigns. So why update? You know what I mean? Like what was the big hoopla for creating Overwatch 2? You know what I mean?
well, it was just like their update. Like they wanted to update 1, but then they just called it 2 and just
Yeah, it's
forced
like
everybody
Destiny.
to move over from 1 and reset everybody's stats and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, it's kind of like Destiny, where like they did the same thing. Like they
yeah,
had
with
this,
Destiny 1 and 2,
and
yeah.
then they really just supported 2, and they built that up, and like that was their premier game. Like 1 was like the testing grounds, and like 2 is like the actual game as they envisioned it.
This is probably in this whole thing my most hyped game.
The Persona.
Persona 5 Tactics. I love tactical games,
Mhm.
and I like Persona. Yeah, this is totally up my alley. I'm definitely gonna, as long as it doesn't suck, I'm definitely gonna check this out.
Mhm.
I'm pretty behind on my Fire Emblem games as well, and I do want to check out Triangle Strategy. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this
It's
is.
kind of like the tone, though. It's kind of like, I don't know. It looks kind of silly a little bit.
So are they all connected canonically, or do they stand
No,
alone?
no, they're
Okay,
standalone. Yeah,
because I've seen like 12 Persona 5 games already, and I feel like.
it's all the same game. Like there's like two. There's Persona 5. There's Persona 5 Royal, which is just like the special edition of Persona 5. The only other game is Persona 5 Strikers, which is like a Muso game. And then there's this Tactics one. And then there's
And they
like
all follow the same. They all tell the same story, or like.
well, Persona 5, yeah, is Strikers apparently is like it's either like a prequel or a sequel or something like that. So it ties into the actual game. People really, really like it, even if you don't like that type of game. And then like this Tactics, I have no idea how that fits into the story, but other than that, there's just really only, as far as like the Persona 5 story, there's really only like two different games. It's just
So,
that they made Persona 5 for the PS3 and then the PS4, and then now there's a PS5 version. So it seems like there's a lot of Persona 5 going around, and there is, but it really is, for all intents and purposes, the same game.
so it seems like in the States they're getting away from numbered iterations of the Yakuza Like a
Yeah,
Dragon
which I also
series.
don't like. Yeah.
So in Japan, I guess this game is still called 8,
Oh,
but
okay, so it's officially.
yeah, because Like a Dragon was called 7. Like it
Hmm.
was officially 7. Like that is game number 7.
Yeah.
So this being 8, or in the States, they're not continuing that name again.
Why are
It's.
they doing that?
I think that they're
Makes
just
it feel
trying
less
to
official.
differentiate the saga. So like, it's not like.
Right, it's
Uh,
not Yakuza 8. It's more like a Dragon is like the new.
Yeah, that's the franchise umbrella, and then like we have different games underneath this brand because
Yeah.
this brand's so popular that we have spin-off titles that are intertwined with the main narrative that we've already
I don't
told.
like that. It's just too much.
It's starting to become a little too much. You have, Lost Judgment, you
Yeah, you
have
got
Like
the
a Dragon,
Judgment
Infinite
game,
Wealth,
and yeah,
you
yeah.
have Gaiden, like we mentioned earlier. It just
Slow
starts
down
to
a little
become
bit.
too
Yeah.
much, Ishin, it's a lot.
They're gonna get creatively bankrupt if they keep going
Mhm.
on about it like this. Save something in the tank. Like, so this is DLC. Is this the free DLC that everybody's talking about, or is this like
I
paid?
don't know if it's going to be free. It's going to have some story campaign stuff,
Yeah,
so
there's really some stuff to it.
I don't think it's going to be free. Like they're adding a whole story campaign element,
Well,
and
they got a lot of nerve asking
Idris
people
Elba's
for money for
character.
the
I
game.
don't imagine that they would put an actor of his caliber in the DLC and just give it away for free.
Yeah, yeah. I
Plus,
I gotta.
Keanu's coming back to record more lines and
Yeah,
do more work too. So
I
I would
wait to see
almost 90%
this.
guarantee that this is not going to be free.
Yeah,
But it looks great.
it does. Again, I'm gonna wait and see, but like I'm gonna wait and see and plan to get it at some point when it's heavily discounted because it's gonna be digital. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
buy
the
it
game
before I
itself
purchase it.
is
We
heavily
got it for like
discounted.
$10 or something. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
you can find it for like 10, $20 at most.
yeah.
And even if you get it for $20, that's still a good deal because
20 bucks is not a bad price
the
at
game
all.
has been fixed. So
Yeah,
like any issues that game had at the very beginning, again, it's those issues are irrelevant. I think they said that I think it was Polygon, or I think it was said like that this was the last chance at redemption for this game, and it was like, dude, you haven't played this game at all like in the last couple months. There's been
yeah,
like
yeah.
ever since patch 1.5, like this game has been running pretty smooth.
It did take forever, yeah, but
It took
it's good
forever.
now. It's
Well,
good now. So
this game is not a game that should have came out during the PS4 Xbox One era.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was a push to make that happen, and like it
Took
was an
away a lot of
unrealistic
resources
push.
too. They had to worry about like
Yeah,
optimizing those versions instead of focusing on
yeah, exactly.
you
Instead of
know
focusing just on the three versions that
like
matter,
look,
PC,
this is
Xbox,
not.
and
It's just realistically, this is not really a PS4.
so that's going to drop
It's not a
September
scary zone
26th.
game.
Pre-order now, so
I
definitely
ain't
not for
ordering
free.
nothing. I'll see you in a year
Yeah, when it's on.
when it's on sale, and it's like
Well, it also
all the
depends how
issues have
much the
gotten
DLC
ironed out.
costs too.
What?
If it's like 10, $15,
Yeah, then
and
maybe
it
one
offers
year,
a
but
considerable amount of campaign time, like if it adds 10 hours to the campaign and it's only $20, yeah, I might spend that.
yeah, maybe I'm still waiting on sale.
The game itself only cost me 10,
Yeah,
so that's something I take into consideration as well. Do I really like this game? How much did they pay for the original
yeah.
copy?
Do I want to pay more for the
And
DLC than I
and
paid for the game?
is the DLC on sale? Because 9 out of 10 times I won't buy DLC unless it's on sale.
What is this, Assassin's Creed?
Yes. No. This is Avowed. This is a Microsoft Studios game.
Oh, so this is one of their games.
Mhm.
I mean, again, this is a very this looks like this is geared towards a more of a Western audience.
Mhm. Yeah, the first person aspect definitely.
Just the art style, the setting, everything, like the tone. This is definitely not like. It's definitely like a Western.
I think we're coming close to the end of this montage. And then I have one more clip that they dropped towards the end of the showcase, and I'll play that clip real quick, and then we'll give our final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. Yeah, this frame rate and the animation here look atrocious.
Well, it's not complete yet. They've still got some time to work on it, but
Yeah, but right now Microsoft doesn't need to be showing off stuff that looks subpar.
especially after Redfall,
Yeah.
yeah, they definitely need to bring their A game at all times.
And everybody's like,
Right.
well, it's not all about graphics. It's like, yeah, I know, I agree. For those people, and I totally agree, there's a great product that Microsoft has out. It's called the Xbox 360.
That
And,
certainly bit them in the ass, didn't it?
yeah, so if you want to don't talk to me about, oh, it's not about graphics, I'm fully well aware of that. I'm just saying that like right now for the Series X with the beating that Microsoft is taking, you need to bring out your guns, not bring like this really cool looking knife. Which wow, it is a really cool looking knife, but we're at a gunfight, so bring guns.
So this is going to be the last video clip that we're going to play tonight. Xbox announced a new model of the Series S console. It's going to come with a 1 terabyte
That's right.
drive, and it is coming in black, and it's going to sell for $350. We're going to play that clip real quick. Move this one and play. Where is it? Oh, here it is. I found it. So, what do you think about the 1 terabyte console, the S? And then, what did you think about the showcase as a whole, Ernest? Before we
That
shut it down for the night.
that Series S with the 1 terabyte, I see it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative. I see it as a fail. For one, for $50 more, you can get a real PS5 like without a digital only, but like a fully fledged, full powered PS5 for $50 more. And I think that 350 is a hilariously bad price tag. Like you should. How are you charging more than $300 for this thing? The currently existing Series S model you can find on sale with special deals for 250 at the lowest, but it's 300. But they're all over the shelves, and there is the argument to be said that the Series S is kind of holding back this generation of development also. And here's Microsoft like doubling down on that, charging you $50 more for essentially half a terabyte more storage. It's like, who is this for? Like, how
Yeah.
on earth would you buy this when for $50 more you could get a PS5?
No, I totally agree. Just to touch on it real quick, for $50 more plus tax, you can get a fully functional digital PS. If you want to go digital,
Yeah.
$50
Which you
more,
are
and
with the Series S
you can
anyway.
get a PS5 that is running at its potential. It's not
Yeah,
a
it's not.
shortened down version. And then on top of that, you got to consider storage space costs too.
Yeah, dude.
So
It's like
the
Series has
the
been
the,
out for like 3 years.
West
Why is this
yeah, the Western Digital um, drives for
Alaska?
the
Yeah.
proprietary Xbox storage unit in the back
Yeah.
are just barely coming out, and those sell 1 terabyte for about 150.
Which
So
is like
that's a
with
drop. That's still a drop in price, but it's still a lot when you
it's
compare
still
it to
double micro.
the
It's
S.
still double
Yeah, it's
PlayStation
more than
price.
double. It's more than double.
For 150, you can get 2 terabyte, like with the
Mhm.
heatsink and
Less
everything.
than
Like,
that,
easy. Yeah,
you can get a
easy.
pretty solid 1 to 2 terabyte for the same cost for
I got
PS5.
my 2 terabyte on PS5 for 150, and that was like
Yeah.
a month or so ago.
Yeah, and they're dropping lower now. I think I
Yeah,
saw
and they're
a
getting lower.
Samsung
Yeah,
SSD 1 terabyte go for like $70.
yeah.
Like they're dropping so drastically in price
Yeah, and
so
here's
quickly.
Microsoft who can't even sell these consoles, and
Yeah,
then
and
they've got this
they have a
proprietary memory
proprietary
problem.
memory card that can only be used on that one unit.
Yeah, dude.
Whether Sony was open source, they were smart about it, and they let you choose and pick
But
off the
who on earth
shelf
would they be
SSD
this
products.
dumb? Realistically, who on earth is this stupid? That
Yeah.
when
Well,
Microsoft is having its
if
problems and they're trailing behind Sony,
if
hey,
you're
let's make our
invested into
memory
the Microsoft
proprietary.
ecosystem, it's hard not to. invest again, because like if you're like me and you have like a ton of games, like you're already invested. So like especially if you have retail games, this definitely is not the console for you. You don't want to spend any sort of money. There's no sort of like system where you can scan in your games into like Voodoo. If you have a Voodoo account and you have DVDs, you can scan the DVD and add it to your collection, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing like that for Game Pass digital. So like if you buy an S, all the card copies that you bought in the past are now irrelevant. Even if they are backwards compatible, you can't play them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there has to be some sort of like, I don't know. I would have just discontinued the old version and said this is the new S. Like if we're that consistent or persistent about releasing the S, you discontinue the older version. That 500 gigabyte model
Yeah.
doesn't do
Yeah.
anything. That's not enough space to even enjoy a game. You couldn't even install Call of Duty on that if you just had one game. So
Profess.
like, so the 1 terabyte I think is a good starting size. But you got to sell it at the same price point. You can't charge $50 more,
Yeah.
like because
It,
then yeah,
it's
you're shooting
equitable
yourself
to
in the
like
foot. I might as well
streaming.
just buy a PlayStation, you
Right.
know.
Right. I mean,
And if I wait and I wait until the newest iteration of PlayStation that they're rumored to be releasing that has the ability to
detachable
add a hard
thing.
drive,
Yeah.
like why would I want to buy an Xbox where I don't have that ability that I'm stuck with, and it's inferior hardware? Digital Foundry just released their comparison, side by side comparison of Street Fighter 6,
Mm.
and we're starting to really hit bottlenecks here with the Series S in terms of like texturing and like texture loading and just the fidelity of certain graphics. Certain characters in Street Fighter on Series X, or I'm sorry, S, have like these weird pixelated strands of hair that you wouldn't normally otherwise see on PS5 or Series X, but it only happens on Series S. This creative visual bottlenecking that's happening because the hardware is not as powerful as the games that the hardware it's designed for. They're creating a subpar version that runs on this lower end Xbox. It's kind of starting to shoot this generation in the foot having this model. You know what I mean? Like, um,
Yeah,
it,
and then what is Microsoft like? If they, I don't think they are. They might, but if they were to do like a Series X Pro, what you're gonna have three different SKUs now. Now a developer
mhm.
has to have three different versions.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
not gonna happen.
hassle.
It's
Screw
not
all
gonna
that.
happen.
Ernest, your thoughts on the showcases?
I feel like when I started to say, I feel like it was mid.
Mhm.
Wasn't horrible. It wasn't like as bad as like Sony's like
Mhm.
showing, but it wasn't impressive. But it had some stuff, you know, had some alright stuff, but nothing that really like nothing where I'm just like, oh man, this was like so
Yeah.
awesome. I'm really excited. Like you know,
So that was those two montages were compiled by GameSpot, and I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't include some of the other games like South to Midnight and the steampunk game, the Clockwork Revolution. That game
yeah,
really impressed me, and that was nowhere on that, which is unfortunate. We'll have to watch that together another time and get your response from there.
yeah,
But yeah, like you mentioned, I felt like Xbox had a stronger showing. It's probably one of their better showcases in the last few years, I think.
I do agree. Yeah, yeah,
They
it was
haven't really
solid.
had anything to show other, even if they, with the absence of some of their big main tiers like Gears and Halo, that's okay because we've seen enough of those games for now. And I think they've bought enough studios where they could survive without Gears and Halo constantly in rotation. You still got Forza there, you
Yeah,
know.
it's kind of good to miss Halo and Gears for a little while, so that
Yeah,
when something is
learn to appreciate it again.
yeah, yeah, so if there's any talks of it, there's like some actual announcement rather than like,
Yeah, and it
oh
builds hype
man,
for
no
those
Halo.
franchises.
Yeah,
hmm Well, Ernest, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I know we're running a little late. It's past midnight right now, and your wife's been a really good sport, mine
yeah,
as well.
bringing the
Ernest,
midnight oil.
Ernest, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Emperor underscore Ernest.
You can also find me at Moses IVVIOC on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow all the news and tidbits daily at The Cultured Nerd on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, pretty much every social network that exists. I don't know if we're on some of the more right wing stuff like Rumble or whatnot, but you can definitely follow us on Instagrams and Twitter and Facebook. I know we're there for sure. And then also visit theculturednerd.org and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/, The Cultured Nerd. We want to thank everybody and Ernest again for joining us for this episode. We may record another episode later this week. We're playing a little bit of catch up with this particular episode as the events were this weekend and we were kind of busy with our own personal lives and schedules. But we may be back on track at the end of this week. Next week, for sure, we will be definitely back on track on Thursdays. So, Ernest, thank you again for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Go ahead and visit patreon.com/The Cultured Nerd. Look for this show's tier. You can also support this show and all the other shows on the YouTube channel. Again, I want to thank Ernest for joining me as our co-host, as always. Our Patreon supporters, thank you to Wesley, Mitch, Connor, Anna, Oscar, Craig, and Salib. We want to thank Jose Navarro for the logo work. You can follow him at Navarro and Jose M. And again, thank you for tuning in and supporting us. We deeply appreciate it. If you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and click subscribe if you want to watch more shows, including newer episodes of this very show weekly on Thursdays. Go ahead and scan that QR code on the bottom with your cell phone. It'll lead you to more tidbits and news from the Cultured Nerd crew. And again, thank you for watching. We deeply appreciate it. See you next week. Bye-bye.